What's going on, guys? My name is Christopher and welcome to It's Complicated, the show where I talk about and showcase wristwatches. So if you love watches like I do, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button, then click on the bell and you'll be all set. Today we're going to be talking about another cool watch and film, the film Live and Let Die. The watch, the Rolex Submariner, reference number 5513. Here we go. So, in 1973, the James Bond franchise was already 11 years old with 8 movies, and they would be starting their third James Bond. And you know, with 8 movies in 11 years, they were just cranking out the James Bond movies back then. So, it's Roger Moore's first time playing James Bond, and about 12 minutes into the movie, he is told that his wristwatch has been repaired by Q. Now, a lot of you guys might think that Roger Moore had some of the worst watches in the James Bond universe. Roger Moore was James Bond during the Quartz Revolution, so he had a lot of digital watches, etc. But I'd argue that this one might be one of the best watches James Bond ever had. Roger Moore got to rock a Rolex Submariner, reference number 5513. Now, the Rolex Submariner 5513 was produced from 1962 all the way to 1990. That's a great run. It is an absolute true classic Rolex. Of course, it was issued to James Bond. It was issued to the United States Navy UDT diving team, which would go on to become the United States Navy SEALs. And it was issued to some British Special Forces as well. And that's just the tip of the iceberg to how famous the Rolex 5513 really is. The Rolex Submariner 5513 was a 2-line Submariner with a Hulls case, hollow end links. It had a crown guard. It had that Rolex 1530 movement. It was 200 meters water resistant, and it had tritium for looms. But since we are talking about James Bond, you guys know that we're not talking about an ordinary Rolex Submariner 5513. Check this out.
In future, Commander, allow me to suggest a perfectly adequate watchmaker just down the street. Good God.
How cool is that? One push of a button on that watch turns it into a hyper-intensified magnetic field, strong enough to deflect a bullet from long range, or unzip a woman's dress.
Such a delicate touch.
Sheer magnetism, Danny.
Now, that's not all the watch did either. Have a look at this picture again. Notice something different? Have a look at the bezel. Do you see the teeth there? Production designer Sid Kane cut the coined bezel into teeth because this watch is also a little buzzsaw, which got Bond out of some serious trouble. Now, to make the watch spin like that, the production team did have to remove the movement. So this James Bond watch in real life doesn't tell time at all. Even though that Rolex Submariner does not tell time in real life, it's still worth big money. In November of 2015, that watch sold for $365,000. I think it's amazing that one of James Bond's movie props sold for that kind of money. And I also think that this is Roger Moore's absolute best James Bond watch, period, if not one of the greatest James Bond watches ever. The magnetic field, the little tiny buzzsaw, that is just awesome. So what do you guys think? Is this Roger Moore's best watch? Is this one of the best Bond watches, period? And what would you do if you had a watch that turned into a little buzzsaw? And that wraps up another episode of It's Complicated. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, like this video, share it with all your friends, and I'll see you next time on another episode of It's Complicated.